Hey, welcome back to Bibster's Repair Shop
Hello.
with Mrs. Bibster and Baby Bibster,
Baby Bibster.
also known as Glenn.
Yeah.
Also, there's a cat.
Oh, jeez.
Anyway, so tonight, sorry, Paul. Oh, no. Tonight we thought we'd tell the story of Paul being attached to my t-shirt, but actually it's the story of how Glenn showed up,
I'm not happy with you.
which, as of like in an hour and a half, will be 4 weeks ago.
It's tomorrow. Today's only Wednesday.
Yeah, but it's almost midnight.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, see, we're completely
Sorry.
lost of time. But, so little Glenn showed up last month on September 23rd and wasn't exactly ready because we were a couple weeks early.
Yep.
So, fun fact, you should always have things ready closer to the time of when the baby's coming, I guess would be the statement I would make.
Yep.
Definitely. Okay, so.
Everyone says that, baby won't show up early. That's not true.
I don't know if does everyone actually say that? I never
I
heard
got
that.
told by a lot of people with your
Well, yeah,
first
that's
one
true.
that doesn't happen, and then
Well, they were all wrong.
they were all
Every one of them was going to go walk into and say wrong. So we should probably still. So we'll go back very much way before the time of Glenn. So my sister and I, when we grew up, we always said we wanted to have kids together. I don't know what you and your brother said, but that doesn't matter for this story. This is
Didn't really
Bibster's.
talk about
This is
that.
Bibster's channel.
Yeah.
We don't, yeah, whatever. No. And so she had gotten married to my brother-in-law Jason, and we had always said we were in a large Cold War situation. Both sides had the weapons. Both sides were doing testing, but neither side was making a strike.
Yeah.
And once one side had made a strike, there would be, just like during the Cold War, there would have been mutual destruction, and the other side would have had to make a strike. So we found out actually it was around this time last year, doing the math right, wasn't it around this time,
right around
that
this
they
time.
were expecting, which would have a baby, which turned out to be baby Hannah, that was born in March, and we had already thought that it was probably time for one of these to happen, and so this,
Here we are.
with science and math and things, we were saying, and all of a sudden Glenn shows up. So anyway, fast forward to the night of September 23rd, 2021. Yeah, that's what year it is.
2021, that's where
Whatever.
we're at.
I
Yeah.
don't even know what day it is anymore. Anyway, so Emily, again, we knew the baby was coming in like 2 weeks. October 6th was supposed to be his due date. We also didn't know if it was a boy or girl, so we just always called it baby, or a baby Bibster. And well, that Thursday you had texted me and said,
Well, so I worked all day
mm-hmm,
at school. Left shortly after 3:30.
yes.
On my way home, I texted him and said, "Hey, I'm having some cramping. Don't really know if it's anything. Might not be a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep you posted."
So, I'm like, well,
That was like, what, 4 o'clock?
something like that. It
4
was,
o'clock.
yeah. So, like, I kind of got it. I think by the time I actually checked it and saw it, because, don't always check messages. By the time I got it, I was almost home. And so I got home, and she was laying on the couch, actually, this couch we're sitting on right now. And I could just tell she was in pain, but, I don't know, she's been like 9 months pregnant. She kind of
That
always...
was probably, what, 5:30? You got home?
No, yeah, something like that. She always looked like she was in pain. So I said, well, why don't you call the number? There's a number you're supposed to call for,
Questions or like,
yeah,
if you
stuff.
don't know what you're supposed to do, or like, hey, I think I need to go to the hospital. How do I know? Like those type of things. So anyway.
So I said, yeah, why don't we call that number? So she calls, and they basically tell her to lay down, to see what's going on, because it could be the Brixton Pops or
The Braxton Hicks,
the Braxton Hicks.
which is like the practice contractions that your body does.
Because apparently your body's got to practice for that stuff.
Mine didn't.
Well, no, we'll get to that in a minute.
Nope.
No
Mine didn't need
practice.
practice.
No prep. So that doctor, nurse lady, person on the phone, I don't know. She was also trying to sell us extended warranty on her car.
She was not.
No, I'm just kidding.
She was super nice.
Super awesome.
Can't remember her name.
Yeah, we don't know many of the names
Anyway.
of people we'll talk about. Anyway, so told her to lay down. So this is where Husband of the Year line number 1 comes. There's going to be a bunch of these, so just count them at home, kids. Maybe I'll put a little counter down in the description, the little words right here. So I was like taking a nap before I went to music team practice, because that's what I normally do on Thursdays. Buddy!
I'm just shifting.
He's just shifting.
It's getting heavy.
Just shifting.
Yep.
And she kept getting up and saying, it just isn't getting any better. It still hurts. So I
And
say...
in fact, it kind of was getting a little bit worse.
She didn't say that.
By laying down. I did. I said it doesn't help to lay down. It's worse.
Oh.
Well, but it wasn't like that much worse that I was like, oh, we should go to the hospital.
But so then I decided to rebuttal and say, well, if they told you to lay down, you should just lay down. Like, you know.
And also, let me say, the lady said lay down for a couple of hours. To me, that means 2 hours.
Yeah.
So when I got off the phone, it was 6 o'clock, and I was like, okay, so I'm here till 8 to figure out what's going on, right? Like in my brain said at 8 o'clock is when you can make the call of whether or not you need to go to the hospital.
And that should have happened a lot sooner. We'll
Anyway.
get to that. So I go to music team practice like I always do. And I told our worship leader, Mr. Michael Hadley, I said, hey, I might have to leave early. Like if I get a text message and leave, it's go time. Don't announce anything, but everyone's gonna know. Because we weren't sure. So we get through practice, and I got a few text messages during practice. You know, things like, I think my favorite was, if this isn't real contractions, what is wrong with you?
My phone made a noise.
If this isn't real contractions, we're adopting the rest of our children.
Yep.
I also got is it the time where I get to say you did this to me, which I responded with, I don't think it's that time yet. Hindsight, it was.
It was.
Definitely was.
Uh-huh.
So we get through practice. I kind of in passing tell my dad, like, hey, something might be happening. We're not sure, but I made it through practice. That's awesome. So Dad's like, okay. We leave. I leave. I park out at our house, which my truck would be parked like right there. We had the windows open because it was nice out.
Mm-hmm.
And I hear her screaming from the bedroom in pain, which I realized that might not be good. So I come rushing in, and I'm like, honey, have you been timing anything?
Because apparently that's the thing you're supposed to do. You're supposed to
They
time,
had told us that.
You're supposed to time how far apart they are. But let me just say, when you're in pain, you don't think about that. You're just trying to breathe and continue breathing so that you can continue living.
That's true. Okay,
where
yeah,
I was
right.
at that point.
Both of you could live.
Yes.
So I was like, well, let's time it. So I started my stopwatch, and you were like up a little bit, and I heard when the next one hit, and I looked at my stopwatch, and it was 4 minutes and 48 seconds. And I remember saying, I think they said 4 to 7 minutes is time to go to the doctor. We're almost under 4 minutes. We're going now.
Yeah.
So your bag was packed, but...
Yep. And when I had gotten home that day from work, I had just in my head thought, I should probably throw some stuff in the diaper bag for him so that when we do have to go to the hospital, there's an outfit in there so we don't have no clothes for the baby.
Yes.
And I also had thrown in a load of laundry that included like his blankets and those types of things that I knew eventually we would need. But I was like, oh, we have 2 weeks. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
We don't need it right now, but it'll be done then,
Whoops.
So, timeline-wise, what time did you get home?
I got home at like 8-ish. So by the time you figured out that the contractions were what they were, we got everything thrown, because it was literally just like, I ran downstairs, was like grabbing like some clothes to throw in a bag.
Yep.
The car seat that I was supposed to use, I was supposed to have the other car seat ready, and I didn't, so I just threw the one in, the car.
Didn't strap it down at that point, because
No.
at that point,
We had
baby
no time
was
for
still
that.
inside the belly, so that was fine.
It was about to be outside the belly.
So we just threw it in the car, so it was at least in the car, and
Yes.
then we took off at what, like 8:20?
8:20, which we live really close to the hospital, luckily, so we basically got checked in at the hospital at 8:30, which when we walked into the ER, there was like some lady in there with like her like small child, and they basically just like yeeted her out of the room, like, oh, okay, you're done here. We don't need to have you in here anymore because she needs to be here. And basically they were like, yep, you're in labor. We're gonna send you up to the room. We'll send the paperwork later. So we're like walking through. Like I parked the car. She's in a wheelchair. They're pushing her. I'm like walking behind, like in complete like, oh my gosh, I'm not sure what's happening right now. And we see our senior pastor, Pastor Jim, was sitting, waiting. He was at the hospital visiting somebody. And I said, he was doing the Pastor Jim, like, waiting. I usually see this from, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
I usually see Pastor Jim doing this after service when he's waiting for everyone to figure out where they're going to go to lunch so he can leave. And he'll be sitting with his glasses above his head, like here.
Somewhat like this.
Something like this, while looking at his phone.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I looked over, I was like, hey, Pastor. And he glanced up and saw that it was me. And he just like, Kyle, as we were going through a door. So he's texting me asking, like, is it go time? I'm like, yeah, I think it's go time. Wasn't sure.
It's go time. Yeah.
We got to the room, and they go check her. And she was at a 7 or an 8.
Somewhere between a 7 and an 8.
So this is, again, 8:30 is when we went into the hospital. So 7 or an 8, again, I don't know what these numbers mean. You could have told me a 33, and I would have said, okay. Then they told me that 10 was when you start pushing.
Yep.
So that made things all of a sudden more relevant that the birthing plan we had was just tossed right out the window.
Which really, it wasn't that intensive a birthing plan.
It was one thing.
basically
It was
just like,
it was pain meds.
give me the meds.
It was an epidural. She
Give
wasn't
me
gonna
the
feel
meds,
anything.
Safe baby. That's what I want.
So that's
like
all
I
we
want it to be
wanted.
safe for the baby, and I want
That's
to have
safe
the meds.
baby. We did not get the
Yep.
meds. So
Yeah.
good old Great Veins here. Like 6 tries to try and get an IV in, and like we didn't think we were gonna have an IV in when they started pushing. So basically, by the time they got the IV in, it was push time, and like I don't know, 7 or 8 times of pushing, Glenn shows up, and look at him,
Looking
Look
all
at Glenn.
cute.
Look how adorable he is. This is actually the outfit he came home from the hospital in,
It is.
and he's almost outgrown it.
It actually fits him now.
It does fit him. He was pretty much swimming it before. But yeah, so he was born at 9:50. We showed up at 8:30. So
So, yeah.
it was all of a sudden 0 to like 60 mile an hour real fast. I remember sitting that night, we were sitting there, I was holding Glenn, and I'm just like, huh, I didn't think I was going to be a dad when I woke up this
Nope.
morning.
Did
This is going to be
not.
different.
Yeah.
So,
Didn't expect that one.
yes. But yeah,
Yep.
we learned things on the fly. Glenn is awesome. He's all healthy now. He had some Billy Rubin,
Billy Rubin.
yeah, I can't talk. Numbers that were high, so we had to do the only thing that would be like the most you wouldn't think you'd do with a kid. You like just basically stick him in the sun, but those numbers all came under control, and he's growing like he's supposed to be, which is awesome. So fun tips. I have some advice for anyone. Things that I learned during the pregnancy. Maybe you can have some too as we wrap this video up. But mine, there are things, and people had told me this, but I got to experience. There are things that you would have normally been able to say to your wife before she was pregnant that you can't say once she is pregnant. And you don't know what those lines are. If you guys have ever seen the Crazy Hot Matrix where like they talk about that someone can disappear and reappear, a line that was funny 5 minutes ago can disappear from being funny and reappear making them cry. And you don't know that. But then there's also things you can say when they're pregnant. Like when your wife is pregnant is the only time you get to say, honey, look how big you're getting without getting slapped.
Yeah.
Like you can say things like that.
That's appropriate.
That's an appropriate time. But yeah, I really feel that there was a lot of things, but really, essentially as the guy, I just stood by and waited until this happened, and then there was more things. But yeah, oh, he's giving you the side eye. So what, do you have any advice for...
I don't know.
You don't know?
There's just a lot of things have happened.
Yeah, that's true. Not a lot of those things is sleep.
No.
Which at this stage is really nice for me because I'm not supplying the food source.
Right.
So there's not a whole lot I can do when he's crying.
Right.
So at this stage, when he's crying, I get to just
me.
pass him away. I get to like hang out with him at night and then pass him away whenever he's crying. But yeah, so you'll see Glenn in probably more videos. Yeah, he's gonna be a YouTube star before you know it.
Oh, for sure.
Oh yeah, but yeah. So thanks everybody for.
Yep.
I have a lot of my friends have been reaching out and asking about it, and actually I'm pretty sure my mom has really wanted this video to come out because she's excited for it.
Definitely.
But we still are gonna do the video about the van because that was supposed to happen before he showed up, which we bought luckily.
Yes.
But we'll get. Oh, I know. We're gonna be done here. He's starting to wake up, so we gotta go be parents. We'll see you on the next one. Bye.
Bye.